Story 1. Space is really big. It takes 4.5 years for light to reach us from the nearest star. Light takes hundreds of thousands of years to travel across our galaxy, and 2.5 million years to reach us from the next nearest galaxy. If there is intelligent life out there, they are likely so far away that even if they started broadcasting when the pyramids were being built, their signals would not reach us for thousands or millions of years. Story 2. The spaces needed to travel defy any conceivable technological advances possible. Even at the speed of light, it might take millions of years, and there is no legitimate reason to believe that any technological breakthrough would successfully produce travel at the speed of light. The universe is a large place, and even if there were islands of life scattered throughout it, there would be no way for these clusters to contact one another. Story 3. Physics. The universe is incredibly vast. Our fastest man-made object is barely 2/3 of the way to the Oort cloud, and we launched it 48 years ago. It is moving through space at 15.3 kilometers per second, approximately 34,200 miles per hour. Now, where is the closest habitable planet? Proxima Centauri b, 4.9 light-years away. As a quick conversion, an object traveling 34,200 miles per hour would take about 13,000 years to reach it. The math may be off, but it is still beyond a human lifetime. There is also the argument about advanced alien life having faster-than-light technology. Nothing with mass can travel faster than light. There are theoretical concepts such as the Alcubierre drive, but the energy required for such a device is immense. It is equivalent to using the mass of Jupiter as fuel every minute, and that is just for the fuel. Designing and engineering something capable of withstanding such stresses, incorporating life support and habitation for travelers, and navigating are further challenges. Navigating within our solar system is easy, but how do you navigate the galaxy when everything is moving at multiple double-digit kilometers per second? The final question is, why would anything travel to us? We are not special or noticeable. The furthest humans have traveled is to the moon. We have sent signals and probes, such as the Voyager probes, which both carry golden records. However, signals only move at the speed of light and are highly susceptible to distortion. The signal becomes unrecognizable after traveling such distances. That assumes any advanced beings can understand the signal, have the capability of intercepting and recognizing it, and can locate the source from a distance that has probably moved billions of kilometers away since the signal was sent. No one would launch an expensive and dangerous vessel in a random direction without precise calculations for interception. If they did, the odds of them finding Earth among the trillions of planets within our galaxy alone would be unfathomable, like trying to find a specific strand of hair in the Sahara Desert. Story 4. We always think of extraterrestrial beings as some super-evolved, highly intelligent form of life. But extraterrestrial beings could also just be some bacteria. So why did the bacteria not contact us? Story 5. Any species capable of contact is likely so advanced in scientific knowledge that we seem little more than animals to them. Therefore, they probably do not see value in contact. Story 6. Maybe they are watching quietly, waiting for us to prove we are ready, like students waiting to graduate before joining the major leagues. Or maybe they simply see us as a noisy, messy experiment not worth interrupting yet. Story 7. The speed limit of the universe, or at least of our communication technology, and just how big the universe is. Radio transmission, the base of our technological communication, travels at the speed of light. An alien planet is likely at least hundreds of light years away, which means it would take that many years for a communication to reach us. Even if aliens figured out something that travels faster than light, we would not be able to receive it because our technology requires radio frequency, which travels at the speed of light. It would be like sending a radio broadcast to a planet that was technologically in the 1500s. Technically it is there, but they have nothing to pick it up. This also assumes they are sending a radio broadcast and not a written message like Voyager. I do not remember how far away it is, but it has not even left our solar system despite flying for 50 years. Now consider that the closest star with no inhabitable planets is about 1,000 times farther away than Voyager is, meaning at a constant speed it would take 50,000 years for Voyager to reach it. Now take a star that is 1,000 times farther than that star, and it would take 50 million years for an alien civilization to send us a message in a bottle. Story 8. I'm siding with Bill Hicks on this. The aliens know we are here. They just think Earth is the Alabama of the universe. They are not going to stop here, not even for gas. Story 9. They would probably still see dinosaurs because of how light travels. I would not want to come to a planet full of Godzillas either. Story 10. Maybe they think we are not ready for first contact. Too many problems that we need to resolve, too immature. Story 11. Would you? Are you eager to reach out and talk to the toddler down the street who is still wetting their bed to see what cultural advances they have made? We are not interesting. Story 12. They are waiting for us to self-destruct so they can communicate with the next civilization, the metal silicon artificial intelligence. Story 13. We have become violent fools with fragile egos and greedy hands. Aliens would see us as primitive beings if they could watch our television broadcasts. Story 14. No particles with mass can travel at the speed of light. It is not really the speed of light, but the speed of massless particles. Anything without mass must travel at that speed. Story 15. I would argue that it is because we are savages in comparison to them. We destroy our environment as if it were a birthday party. We kill each other using the most cruel methods. We value wealth over unity. To be frank, we do not deserve to be visited by a superior, more enlightened species. Story 16. We are too primitive for the effort. Even if there is an alien civilization advanced enough for faster-than-light travel or capable of harnessing wormholes, why would they? We cannot even travel beyond our own moon yet. Outside of a very few individuals interested in pure science, we are not interesting enough. It would be like asking why we have not contacted an isolated aphid species in Borneo. Except for a few researchers, most of us do not care. Story 17. Assuming there is a technologically advanced species capable of detecting our existence from a distance or that has passed by for some reason. Humans are terrifying. Our history is filled with war, torture, myths of horrific events, and demonization of those we do not like. Nuclear weapons alone are horrifying. They are probably worried that if they come here, we might launch a nuclear missile in their direction. Story 18. Many people talk about how vast space is, and they are right. I will add another reason. We lack something a spacefaring race needs. Water. There is more of that, and it is much easier to access in our asteroid belt and likely many other places in other solar systems. Heavy metals? These are also not rare and are easier to mine off-planet. Technology? They are likely far ahead of us in this area. That only leaves curiosity and curiosity for its own sake, but given how large space is and how resource-intensive travel would be, curiosity is probably not much of an incentive. There is also the possibility they developed advanced artificial intelligence systems, uploaded themselves, and simply do not care about the rest of the universe as long as their own region is safe. Or the possibility that they have seen us, concluded we are irrational, and just kept moving. Story 19. They likely have contacted some humans. I have met many humans myself. I am not confident in the random sample they may have encountered and would not blame them if they chose to postpone communicating with human beings on Earth for a few more centuries, as we are. Story 21. Fermi Paradox. Space is vast. It is incredibly large beyond imagination. You may think a short trip down the road is long, but that is insignificant compared to space. It is possible they have contacted us, but we have not detected their signals yet, or the signals are directed away from us. Efforts have been made with the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence Initiative. 2. Zoo Hypothesis. Extraterrestrial beings know of our existence but believe we are not yet ready to receive communication, so they choose to ignore us. Story 21. They may follow a policy of non-interference, similar to our approach to protecting uncontacted tribes, to avoid influencing their natural development. Story 22. It is fairly simple. Only a small fraction of discovered planets lie in habitable zones, and of those, an even smaller fraction actually have conditions for complex life. Knowing this, the odds of intelligent civilizations arising that would be close enough for communication are extremely and practically negligible. Even if many such civilizations exist in the galaxy, The vast distances between them mean that signals would take at least decades and most probably centuries to travel. Combined with the short time spans during which technological civilizations might be or remain detectable, this scarcity offers the strongest explanation for why we have not yet received any contact from extraterrestrial intelligence. Story 23. The effect of time dilation resulting from the acceleration needed to travel between star systems is such that, even if the technology could be developed, space explorers would return to their homeworlds having aged only a few years while their planets would have experienced millennia. Furthermore, Newton's laws as well as the laws of thermodynamics mean that building an engine capable of propelling an interstellar craft seems highly improbable. I am sure that there is life on other planets. However, I do not believe there will ever be any way to communicate with them. Story 24. Any sentient life that follows an evolutionary path where ideas like curiosity or travel emerge, and that actually has a framework and concept for making interstellar travel, is an extremely rare occurrence. The chance of even knowing we exist is 1 in 100 trillion. Knowing is a very human concept. What we imagine about aliens is always based on our own ideas. Biology, on some level, has a high chance of emerging at other points in the vast universe. Life that thinks, certainly. But the more conditions you place on other life in the universe that would lead to it finding its way here, the smaller the statistical likelihood becomes. It is not impossible by any means, but very close to it. We are a tiny blip in space, time, and probability, infinitely small. Just as we cannot truly grasp how vast even our own solar system is, much less our galaxy, and much less the empty space before the next galaxy, we cannot fully comprehend just how unlikely our existence really is. Again, not impossible, just incredibly improbable. Story 25. Because humans are barbaric. If extraterrestrial beings contacted us, we would start shooting at them because humans are ignorant and do not accept diversity. Humans fear it and attack it without trying to understand it. Story 26. Life has existed on Earth for millions of years. Radio has been in use for 120 years. Space probes capable of leaving the solar system have been operational for 50 years. However, there has been no spacecraft capable of carrying humans beyond the moon. Space is vast and physics is challenging. Story 27. They are made of meat. We are organically incompatible. They cannot imagine life like ours and vice versa. Story 28. The same reason we have not contacted any extraterrestrial civilizations is that space is vast, and the chance that two civilizations will encounter each other while in a state capable of long-distance communication is very small. Story 29. Dark Forest Theory. There are other civilizations out there. The ones that survive are hiding from the larger predators. Story 30. I have 2 points. 1. We are not advanced enough to be of interest to them, and we have nothing to offer. If they can travel light years, there is nothing on Earth that will interest them. 2. They may have already been here. If they are advanced enough for interstellar travel, it is reasonable that they have technology advanced enough to avoid detection unless they choose to be detected. Interstellar travel is not as portrayed in the movies. Mastering it requires such a technological edge in physics, chemistry, and mathematics that humans would perceive it as magic or miracles. Story 31. Obviously, if they revealed themselves now, we would implode. They can wait hundreds of years with almost no change in their advanced civilization. Ours still has miles to go. Story 32. The most mundane and likely explanation to me is that faster-than-light travel is not actually possible. Even if there are alien civilizations out there that are massively more advanced than us, and they have received evidence of our existence, any messages they have sent us just have not arrived yet. Another likely explanation is that advanced aliens are so far away from us that no radio signals or other sign of our existence has reached them yet. Even if they have faster-than-light capabilities, they have not visited us because they do not know we are here. Our solar system is just one among billions of unsurveyed points of light in the galaxy. There is no reason for it to stand out to them. A less likely but possible explanation is that there simply are no aliens, or at least none close enough to us in both time and space to make contact possible. Maybe the formation of life, let alone intelligent life, is far less common than we assume. Maybe right now we are the most advanced civilization in the Milky Way. One idea I have had is that advanced alien species might be using some form of communication so advanced it has not even occurred to us. Thus, our efforts to find them using search for extraterrestrial intelligence programs are futile because we are not looking for the right thing, and they are not picking up any of our radio signals because the idea of a species worth contacting using those methods does not occur to them. In this scenario, there could be a thriving interstellar civilization in one of our neighboring star systems and we would not know about it. Story 33. A not my circus, not my monkeys attitude. If you were an outsider looking in at the damage we have done to our planet and the things that we do to each other, you would not want to be involved in that drama either. Story 34. Why would they? We are a group of apes killing each other who cannot even take care of their own planet. We often kill each other because of imaginary friends. What advanced civilization that can travel vast distances through space should bother to visit us? Story 35. We are too violent, uninteresting, and immature to have any kind of contact. Anything we have to offer is abundant throughout the galaxy. If we manage to reach a stage where we can travel beyond our solar system, we will be tested to see if we have evolved enough in empathy to be worthy of contact. If not, we will be confined to our own system until we change our behavior. Story 36. 1. There are no extraterrestrial beings. 2. Extraterrestrial beings exist but are too distant. 3. Extraterrestrial beings existed or will exist, but time is so vast that we have all lived at different eras. 4. Extraterrestrial beings exist, but they are not advanced enough to travel to us. 5. Evolution and competition cause other civilizations to destroy themselves before becoming advanced enough to travel across deep space. Story 37. With the size and age of the universe, life could be common. However, it could also be very distant from one another. If it takes billions of years of evolution to reach species like us, then chances are alien life will be pre-civilization. Story 38. Space is extremely vast. Actually, it is even bigger than that. The distance to the next star is not close. The distance to the other side of the galaxy is insurmountable. The distance to the next galaxy is impossible. There are billions of galaxies. For all practical purposes, we are alone. Story 39. I always go back to the nature of our planet, which is very specific to carbon-based life forms. Our gravity, atmosphere, flora, and fauna make it possible for us to survive. But for an alien species, it would be a death sentence. Story 40. Idealistically, we are still a nationalistic species. When we stop fighting each other, they might contact us. Until then, it is cattle mutilations and anal probes. Realistically, the universe is much bigger than people understand. Not only is it unlikely that we will ever be found, it is also unlikely that we exist at the same time as other intelligent races, because distance equals time as well. Story 41. Aside from the vast distance across space, assuming an advanced civilization made it here, we are fighting and killing ourselves. Extraterrestrial beings have no time for that. 10-minute hover and then they are out. Story 42. 1. You are assuming they have not contacted us yet. 2. Travel to Earth takes an incredibly long time. From their perspective, humans probably do not exist yet. 3. Why would you effectively warn a planet when you are coming for genocide? 4. They might not be more advanced. 5. They might be significantly more advanced and we do not have the technology to receive their transmission. Story 43. If they have any way to receive our transmissions, they would most likely conclude that we are not worth visiting. It makes me think of the famous quote from the film Blazing Saddles. You've got to remember that these are just simple farmers. These are people of the land, the common clay of the New West. You know, morons. Story 44. Because we are not yet interesting, we still burn oil for everything. We are 3,000 years behind. Story 45. Because they have been monitoring our radio and television signals and placed a galactic warning not to approach our system because humans are considered dangerous. Story 46. They see our planet as a parasitic entity consuming itself and believe it will not last long enough to collaborate with us. Story 47. For my money, There are two major reasons. The first is that space is unimaginably big. I know there are people who claim to be able to imagine it, but they are wrong. Not lying, just wrong. Even for a technologically advanced civilization on the other side of our galaxy, any signals they send would take longer than human civilization has existed to reach us. There is a good chance that traveling faster than the speed of light is impossible. We have imagined ways mathematically to do it, but they require theoretical states of matter that are impossible to prove even exist, much less create and use. So, there probably are no civilizations near us capable of sending a radio signal, and it may be impossible to travel interstellar distances within any reasonable time span. If nothing else, it is almost certain that no one has done it yet, even if it is possible. Story 48. They are waiting for us to solve the problem areas of our planet. Full progress cannot be made while some of us would burn, eat, or enslave an alien on first contact. Story 49. They do not have the technology yet to reach us, just as we do not have it either. Chances are in favor of extraterrestrial life, but our universe is so incredibly big that it is still impossible to make contact. Story 50. Any race intelligent enough to arrive here would be too wise to contribute to the environmental destruction we have caused on this planet. Story 51. They have been listening and watching. We annoyed them with our irritating and foolish typical behavior. So they quietly stepped away from the vehicle when they realized they preferred to have nothing to do with us. Story 52. If you look at the history of Earth, humanity has only existed for a brief sliver of time. In that time, we have disrupted the biosphere in ways that are obvious and in others still unknown. The likelihood of us existing as a species long enough to propagate beyond the solar system is rather low. Of our sample size of 1 for known intelligent life, it took billions of years for humanity to evolve into what we are today and around 100 years to irreparably disrupt our habitat. If it is common for intelligent life to be just intelligent enough to be aware of itself socially but not enough to manage its environment long enough to branch beyond terrestrial living, then that would be an answer. Given how long it took for humanity to appear here, it is possible that many civilizations have come and gone already before we even knew to look for them. Finally, assuming faster-than-light travel is impossible other than generational ships or something similar, there is no reason to expand much further than your own solar system because of the distance and time involved. For those same reasons, if there are intelligent civilizations out there looking, signs of our presence may not have reached them yet. In my opinion, there are far more logistical and temporal reasons to argue for never finding intelligent life than there are for any potential first contact scenario. Story 53. A few reasons. 1. Life that is advanced enough to travel to other galaxies or even to send and receive radio signals from another solar system or galaxy is so rare that they have not discovered Earth yet. Even if a life form is monitoring every star in our galaxy, there are trillions of planets to explore. What are the chances of them stumbling upon Earth? 2. Other life forms are much more advanced than humans and have no interest in communicating with or visiting us. 3. There may be a super advanced predator roaming our galaxy, so other life forms stay quiet and avoid it. Humans, however, are risking attracting its attention by sending out radio signals. 4. Life is quite abundant in the universe, but we on Earth happen to be in a very remote part where life is scarce. 5. Sending radio signals is an outdated communication method, and other life forms have moved on from it millennia ago, considering it obsolete. It is like trying to communicate with a nearby town using smoke signals. 6. Other life forms are so advanced that they do not know how to communicate or interact with us in any meaningful way. 7. Similar to point 5, life has visited our solar system or Earth itself, but we are unable to comprehend or recognize it as life. 8. Aliens may have visited Earth before humans existed or before historical records began. Perhaps dinosaurs had lengthy encounters with aliens. 9. Due to differences in the perception of time, aliens may be trying to respond to our radio signals, but for them, saying hello takes hundreds of Earth years. Story 54. For the same reason, you do not have interactions with the ant colony that lives under the rock in your garden. Story 55. Language barriers exist. They do not have mouths to speak with, And American English is not a proper language to communicate complicated ideas and concepts. Story 56. It takes vastly less time, resources, and effort to develop the weapons needed for a species to completely end their own existence than it does to develop the means for interstellar travel. The reason we do not see species with interstellar travel is that they destroyed themselves long before they had a chance to develop it. There is a hypothesis that humanity is unique because we managed to develop those weapons and somehow avoid destroying ourselves. Story 57. They are very far away, and neither faster than light travel nor faster than light communication is possible. Story 58. Off the top of my head. 1. We are too unintelligent to be worthy of contact and not sufficiently advanced to be a threat yet. 2. They already have contacted us, but our leaders will not tell us. 3. No one is within hailing distance, and faster than light travel is impossible. 4. Intelligent life is so rare that we are basically alone in this quadrant of the galaxy for the time being, and we will probably be extinct by the time there is another civilization around. Story 59. I love the fact that if a galaxy 70 million light years away were to put a telescope on us today, they would still see dinosaurs roaming the Earth. Relativity is a fascinating concept and is largely why we will never communicate or contact another universal species. Story 60. The universe is just too big. Even if another civilization has developed the technology to travel that far, it could be that they have simply missed us. Story 61. The universe is quite large. Finding us is probably like looking for a needle among a billion haystacks, and they would have to actually bother to look. They might not even care. Story 62. The fact that any signal gets weaker by the square of the distance and the vast distances involved. Story 63. I ascribe to the rare Earth solution to the Fermi paradox. Basically, the idea is that the density of intelligent, technological life in the universe is extremely low. Something on the order of one technological civilization per 11,000 galaxies, which is functionally the same as being alone. We will never encounter each other, we will never see evidence of one another, and travel between us is impossible. That is not to say it is not out there, but it is impossibly far away. Life is probably common at the microbial level where possible, although where possible is also limited. Complex multicellular life is even more rare. Complex, intelligent, technological life is astoundingly rare, and contact between them is probably rarer than that. There are other solutions to the Fermi paradox that may also be playing a part, even if the rare Earth hypothesis turns out to be incorrect. For example, they may be so alien we would not consider one another life. Or perhaps it is true that the speed of light cannot be broken, no matter how advanced a culture is, and there simply is no way to travel to or practically contact another civilization. Or perhaps they do not go into space or have no interest in other planets, instead retreating into the inner space of a virtual world of their own making. Or perhaps they have no interest. How often do you try to talk to a bacterial mat or termite mound? Story 64. If they come here, it will definitely be for the planet's resources, not to try to befriend us. As a species, we are a disaster. Story 65. Wait, but why has a great blog post that covers exactly this topic in great detail? Story 66. Two things already mentioned. Distance and timing. It takes a long time for signals to cross the vast distance of space even at the speed of light, and the timing of having two civilizations evolve at the same time and survive long enough to send messages to each other and hear back from one another is, astronomically, very narrow. If it took humans 4.5 billion years to become advanced enough to send radio signals across space, for example, and depending on where the closest advanced civilization is, assuming they exist, we can send out a message, they receive it and reply, but by the time it comes back to us, what happens if we are extinct? It is the cosmic version of phone tag, except people never reply if they are dead or too primitive. Story 67. Space is just that big. So even if they have faster than light travel, what are the odds they would stumble upon our planet? Story 68. They saw our newscasts and correctly decided that any race of beings that could establish Donald Trump as their leader was too foolish and barbaric to risk contact with. We have nothing to offer. Story 69. The reason my cat does not attack me outright when it hunts me in the kitchen is that it is waiting for me to either show intelligence or make a mistake so it can strike. Story 70. We are not advanced enough to make it worthwhile. Are you interested in contacting an ant colony? Ants have nothing to offer in terms of science and technology. We have nothing to offer alien civilizations. Story 71. The overwhelming majority of planets that could house extraterrestrial life are thousands, even millions, of light years away from us. This means none of our radio signals or probes have reached them yet, so they have no knowledge of our existence and therefore cannot contact us. Story 72. Intelligent life everywhere in the universe reaches a certain technological level, then destroys its home planet and dies along with it, exactly as we are now doing. Intelligent life takes billions of years to evolve and then destroys itself within a few centuries. Story 73. If extraterrestrial beings exist and are aware of our existence, considering our society should not be surprising. I view it similarly to how the Union in the television show The Orville interacts with underdeveloped species. Story 74. Because we are a needle in a haystack. Even with all the radio signals we have sent, the odds of finding another advanced civilization in our galaxy are small until we have the technology to leave our solar system. Depending on where in the galaxy those civilizations are, it could be anywhere between decades to millennia before they receive the radio signals we have sent. We might either not be here anymore by then or will have conquered the stars. There could be anywhere between 100 billion and 400 billion star systems in our galaxy. That is a pretty big place to search for a civilization. Story 75. I doubt aliens are interested in us or in building technologies like humans. If there are other planets with life, there is a good chance it will be more animalistic. Humans often assume that aliens are like us, with opposable thumbs and intelligence that matches or exceeds ours. What if that assumption is wrong? We may simply want to believe that we are not the only species in the universe interested in the things we are interested in and fear. I am sure that even if spacefaring aliens exist, they would be wise to avoid us and hope we do not find them because humans might plunder their planet and oppress them since they would not be protected by human rights. Story 76. Because we are made out of meat. Story 77. If life is abundant in the universe, then we are probably not that interesting. If it is not, they probably cannot find us. Story 78. Aliens are us from the future. They abduct many people for DNA because, in our future, the evolved human species is dying off. They use time travel to the past to collect and study DNA. Story 79. We have only been interested in visitors from outer space since the Victorian times. Let us be generous and say that is 200 years. The Earth has been around for a few billion years. That is a really small window of time for us to be contacted and to be in a state of readiness to accept and understand the message. Yes, they could come in spaceships, but probably not. Story 80. There are a few good reasons. The first is distance and time. If faster than light travel is possible, it adds a second reason. The second is that we are very provincially motivated. We always have a war going on. Who is to say we would not start a war with aliens? Also, we are doing a fine job of destroying our own planet. Either we step up and fix our selfishness, or a human-free planet will be waiting for them in a couple of hundred years. No one wants to deal with misbehaving troublemakers. Story 81. They do not know we are here, and even if they did, they would not be able to contact or reach us before we inevitably destroy ourselves. So they do not see the point. Story 82. Because they are not aware of our existence, because they are not here. Even if they were close enough to contact us, why would an interstellar spacefaring civilization choose our planet of all the planets in the galaxy? There are basically infinite resources in the cosmos, and most of those are probably on dead planets. So why come here and risk disease and conflict? Story 83. Space is big. You just will not believe how vastly, hugely, mind-bogglingly big it is. I mean, you may think it is a long way down the road to the chemists, but that is just peanuts compared to space. Douglas Adams, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Story 84. I believe that the people they avoid contacting, if they have been here, which I think they have, are mostly fearful and would react dangerously, such as shooting the alien or trying to steal its craft. These scenarios are very risky for someone traveling interstellar distances in what would be considered an extremely expensive craft by our standards. Put yourself in their position. Why would anyone in their right mind land and try to communicate with humans who have comparatively low intelligence and weapons? It is a risk not worth taking. They would attempt to talk to a government source that is level-headed, and the government would not want to inform the public because of their obvious ignorance. By most accounts, contact has been made for some time, and the governments involved have kept this knowledge tightly controlled to avoid the public asking inappropriate questions. Story 85. Because most advanced civilizations recognize the dark forest nature of the universe and keep to themselves. Story 86. They either do not exist or there is no extraterrestrial civilization close enough to us with the technological ability to reach us. Story 87. We are 1,000,000,000,000 light years from the nearest habitable planet. If that planet ever had life, it went extinct billions of years ago. Imagine the expense of traveling here and why. For what reason would they do that? We would be insignificant to them. If there is nothing here useful, they would not make the journey. Story 88. Assuming extraterrestrial beings exist and possess technology to travel faster than the speed of light, humanity is far behind. We represent an undesirable area for these beings. Somewhere, an alien is upset with Glork because he refused to stop and ask for directions, and now they have ended up in our galaxy. Story 89. The biggest problem is that life is so delicate. Aliens do exist, but they will go extinct before they can figure out how to visit other aliens. Story 90. Nearest stars are too far away, and interstellar travel is not reasonably possible given the laws of physics. The inverse square law means even electromagnetic transmissions are too weak to travel those distances and be understood. Story 91. Life on Earth expands by consuming other life or energy until it exhausts all resources and dies or evolves into something more efficient. It is clearly a virus. Why would an extraterrestrial race want to open that can of worms? Story 92. There are no aliens. Nordic people live beyond Antarctica and gave Germany rocket technology. Germany made UFOs but had to choose between losing or betraying close allies. The United States and Russia collaborated after World War II, created intelligence agencies, fabricated the moon landing, and used Hollywood to make entertainment that trained people to believe aliens were responsible, when it was actually Germany trying to pressure the government to tell the truth. German UFOs crashed in New Mexico, leading to the creation of NASA to reverse engineer Antarctic rocket technology. The United States created the Men in Black to prevent people from talking about German UFOs, and launched additional psychological operations with fake encounters and abductions, including crop circles, cattle mutilations, and fabricated medical examinations. Now, people think of little green men or science fiction when they hear about UFOs instead of Nordic Germans. The legal term for a non-citizen immigrating into the United States is alien. When Project Paperclip happened, this was the alien invasion. German scientists arriving at NASA to explain the crashed German UFO. Now, about those Epstein files. Story 93. Consciousness is an evolutionary accident. Typical extraterrestrial life operates much closer to a simpler life form, just on a larger and more complex scale. It cannot consciously contact us. It is just out there doing its thing, growing, reproducing, then dying like us but without the conscious decisions we make. Maybe we will evolve past it too. Story 94. If the universe is 7 to 8 billion years older than Earth, a capable species may exist. They may have existed and died already. If they launched an object at us because we look like a life-supporting planet, they would be advanced enough to know that we probably will not exist anymore by the time it gets here. So they are likely not targeting planets based on interest as much as they are just launching objects into space, hoping they cross something by chance. The odds of one passing by us at a point in our history where we can detect it are extremely low. They could be trying to communicate with us using quantum particles, and we are still unable to detect it. It is a timescale problem, the lifespan of planets and solar systems compared to the timescale of objects moving through space. Life is short for planets compared to the vast space between systems. Story 95. I remember a British Broadcasting Corporation technical presenter, James Burke, saying something along the lines that such beings would need to be so advanced that the undertaking would be like one of us booking a flight from the United Kingdom to Papua New Guinea to find a particular colony of sand fleas to ask a random creature for their thoughts on life. That pretty much summed it up for me. Story 96. We ingest chemical compounds to trick our brains into thinking our mouths are on fire for fun. Would you want to risk your well-being? Story 97. Assuming aliens exist, the most convincing explanation is that they are too far away to see us, let alone attempt contact. If they are millions of light years away, even if they can see Earth clearly, we do not yet exist on the Earth they observe. Assuming aliens exist and their technology is advanced enough to see us, our technology is not advanced enough to receive any communication they attempt. It would be like us trying to receive infrared laser beams using a tin can on a string. Assuming the previous 2 points and that we could receive their communications, they see us, study us, and conclude we are not worth the risk. Story 98. We do not know if extraterrestrial beings exist. Even if they do, they may be in their own primitive stages and simply do not possess the knowledge or technology to communicate or interact with us. However, if they do exist, perhaps they have already observed us from a distance and decided we are not worth their time. Maybe they existed millions of years ago. Maybe they will not exist at all for another billion years. Story 99. Space is huge. Its size and the distances involved to understand it are incomprehensible for most people to relate to their lives. Story 100. Aside from space being unimaginably huge and us not even being an afterthought, I would like to think it is not even worth contacting humanity. We offer nothing to the big unknown, and we hate each other down here. It is simply not worth getting involved with Earth. Story 101. They are either too far or not advanced enough. Space is huge. The idea that there would just happen to be a planet that formed under the specific conditions required to create life and then foster intelligence nearby is astronomical. Personally, I expect life to be very common in the universe, but the conditions required to create intelligence are extremely rare. Story 102.1. Time. There are probably intelligent life forms, but they died out 5 million years ago or will only arise in a million years. 2. Distance. The universe and our galaxy are very large. If intelligent life forms with a technical level equal to or higher than ours exist at the same time, they may be 10,000 light years away. They could build a small star empire, and we would not notice anything about each other. Story 103. The dark forest theory states that we are not receiving a response because other civilizations are aware of the danger in answering. We are essentially ringing a dinner bell for that danger when we reach into the cosmos. Story 104. They are waiting for us to become civilized by their standards. We have a long way to go. Story 105. When was the last time you tried to have a conversation with some ants? To extraterrestrials who can communicate with us or travel to us, it would be a similar comparison. Story 106. A lot of good answers here about the scale of the effort and investment required. But there is another factor that is sometimes discussed. It likely takes a few thousand years to evolve your sciences enough to understand there are actually millions of distant planets. Then more years to explore your planet, adjacent planets, and your sun. Still many more years of evolution and discovery are needed to develop transportation technologies and energy sources. It takes time to learn how to build a vehicle that can support life on a journey lasting 1,000 or even 1,000,000 years. First, we have not yet figured out how to make life truly sustainable on an entire planet of resources, let alone how to pack those resources into a practical vehicle that can sustain a culture through hundreds or even thousands of generations using only artificial light, since almost all of this trip will be far from any stars. It will always be nighttime and you will always be weightless. Second, on the way to all the discoveries and inventions, that other life form will encounter tribalism, anti-intellectualism, pollution, nuclear fission, global warming, challenges with sustainable water supply, and wars. They may have to dodge some asteroids and endure severe pandemics. Things become especially difficult when the star burns out before there is time to develop interstellar travel on an entire population scale. They must navigate all these challenges and survive. There is a narrowing envelope here. The society must accomplish everything necessary to travel the distances involved. It needs a large enough ecosystem on board the ship to sustain many generations of reproduction. It must accomplish this before global conflict, an ice age, global warming, devastating pandemics, an asteroid impact, or a catastrophic solar event. This may be a mathematical problem. There may simply not be enough time to complete all the prerequisites before a catastrophic event occurs that either annihilates the species or damages the ability, will, or resources to continue investment in an interstellar journey. Global stability appears to be trending in a way that reduces the likelihood that we can come together for a planet-wide effort to accomplish such a goal. There is no reason to believe other similar societies on other planets would not face periods of similar uncertainty. Nationalism, tribalism, and all isms are the arch-enemies of the global commitment and effort required. Story 107. We are just too far away for anyone or anything. Since they are many light years away, their satellites probably see Earth from millions of years ago, not exactly teeming with life. There is no point in trying to contact us. Story 108. The dark force theory explaining the Fermi paradox is a good one. I recently heard a conversation expanding on it. They explained that advanced species may fear us not for our technological advancements but for our infantile age in the universe. We have no idea how dangerous it is to announce our presence to the universe, and our loud probes of exploration may unintentionally expose species in hiding that do not want their location broadcast. This could lead to them prematurely eliminating the human threat before we can expose them to the real threat in the universe, whatever that may be. Story 109. The simplest explanation is that no intelligent aliens are present in the Milky Way, nor have there been in any nearby galaxies. Any species a century more advanced than us, if that which wants to colonize the galaxy, would have left behind detectable signatures. If aliens are busy constructing Dyson spheres on the other side of the galaxy, we might not know for a very long time due to the speed of light. All I can say for certain is that there were no intelligent aliens anywhere we can see in the night sky at the time that light was emitted. Story 110. Technological civilizations are extraordinarily rare, non-existent, or too far away to detect. Life in other forms may be abundant in some places, but not a technological civilization similar to ours. I predict we will detect signs of life on other exoplanets, but nothing remotely like ours. Story 111. They view us as lower life forms that are very violent. We still have active wars going on, and they do not want to introduce themselves or share much information about them. Story 112. One look at the way we govern ourselves. Any intelligent beings would quickly leave and perhaps quarantine the planet until we resolve our issues. Story 113. Radio waves travel at the speed of light. If you are 50 light years away from Earth, you are watching transmissions from 1975. The closer you get to the planet, the more of our history you can observe. We are a horrible and destructive race toward ourselves and everything around us. There is no way any intelligent species would approach closely enough for us to notice, much less make contact. Story 114. Do we try to contact ants or termites? It could be that they are so far beyond our understanding that we are essentially meaningless to them. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.